is Transition Town Folkestone and Hythe about?
That is a very good question. I think in the early days we all had a bit of a problem actually explaining what the Transition Initiative was. So essentially the most important thing I think we concluded that you need to emphasise is that it is a community response to a number of problems, and the word community is probably the most important of the lot, I think. It is very much a bottom-up approach to climate change, to the end of cheap oil, and to social inequality. Now that's obviously a very broad brush, and within that then fits a number of different themes. But at the end of the day, that is really the essence of the Transition Initiative, and that's where it was born. It was born out of not waiting for politicians to come up with solutions, for corporations to come up with solutions, but actually doing something as a community.
And that is your idea, or what does it come from?
It came from Little Roots not many years ago in Totnes in Devon. And I think it seems pretty clear that it hit a chord. As a result, it's now gone global. And I think at the last count there were more than 450 transition groups around the world. It certainly has gone national here in the UK, but then it's also reached as far as Australia, as far as the US. Continental Europe has got plenty of transition groups, and South America as well. So it seems to be hitting the right notes at the right time, I think.
Do they all work after the same regulations or ideas or concepts, or how does it work? That they all are sharing the same ideas?
I think they have that sort of very broad definition and rationale at the heart. But then clearly each of the transition initiatives gets formed by the community that it is in, by the individuals involved. So you've got transition groups as diverse as some very deprived areas in the US, for instance. There's a terrific clip on the Transition 2.0 film about one of the most deprived areas in the US, where actually their community growing is in empty plots that are the burnt shells of houses, and the difference that made to people's lives. Then in contrast, I was on a transition course in Totnes a few months ago, and amidst what was actually a very international gathering, there were two people who were looking to set up Transition Jerusalem. Now versus Hythe and Folkestone, that's got some slightly different challenges. But even within somewhere like Hythe, we've seen that, because after you've got that sort of very broad definition of what the Transition Initiative is, you've then got all the projects that start to materialise, and very much those projects are born out of particular passion, particular knowledge, particular skills of the individuals involved, and then that moulds what each transition initiative is all about.
And if I'm interested in if I want to get a general image, is there any literature about it I could read probably to?
There certainly is. There's a lot of information on the internet for a start. So there is the transitionnetwork.org website. There's a lot of links from the Transition Hythe website as well. There is a very good book called The Transition Companion.
What is the internet website? You will see right here.
The website right here is transitionnetwork.org, or you can go to the website here, which is transitionhythe.com, and there are lots of links from both of those to a whole host of different resources. But if you're not on the internet, there is a book as well. The Transition Companion is a very inspiring book with lots and lots of case studies now of the projects from around the world, which is rather different from the first transition book, which was very theoretical because it was still actually by definition at a theoretical stage, but now there's a lot of very good stories from all sorts of places.
Great. Sounds exciting. And what is the future? What brings the future? The near future. Let's talk about the next year.
Certainly within our particular transition groups, we've got two here locally which are at very different stages. So Transition Hive is a fairly mature transition group now. It's been going for about 4 years. So there's multiple projects that are well established. There are other projects in the pipeline. There are other ideas which are out there which are starting to get form. Then you've got Transition Folkestone, which is officially it's a mullah, so it's not an official transition group yet. But you can see within Transition Folkestone, even two communities so close together, you've got a different makeup. You've got a larger town for a start. You've probably got more diversity here in Folkestone as well. And you've also got, firstly, the challenge of actually applying the transition initiative to a larger community. But then you've also got the opportunity that you've got perhaps a greater diversity of people, you've got a greater diversity of skills. And certainly what we're finding as Transition Folkestone starts to emerge is that once more you're getting an interesting mix of individuals coming forwards who can offer all sorts of different things. So to answer your question, I'm not sure quite yet where transition in Folkestone is going to head because it's still at that emerging stage. With Transition Hive, I think it's a bit clearer because we've got projects now that are to do with energy. We've got projects to do with education, with the environment, with community growing, with just improving the community, which is the Litter Picks. We have quarterly fairs. We're working alongside local retailers. So there's a lot going on in Hive. Now, in terms of where we head, I think my personal vision would be to see if the next stage might be to start to create some social enterprises, actually. You can see this with some of the other transition groups, that they start to spawn quite interesting cooperative social enterprises, whatever you class them. They actually start to generate local jobs. They start to create a green economy which frankly probably isn't being created from above. Again, it's that bottom-up approach. So I think that's where mid to long term the evolution of the transition initiative is potentially very interesting.
That sounds exciting. Again.
I think so.
Thank you
yes.
very much.
That's a pleasure, Gunnar. Nice to talk to you again.